Right, so welcome back to QuickBooks here. So this is the chapter we're going to be working on is chapter 7, customizing QuickBooks. Now, if you just go ahead and just scroll down on this book, right, it's going to give you the topics, and this is where you have to pay the most attention here is this box right here. This box is going to tell you for this chapter, you need to be using this particular student portable file for you to be able to do the exercises in this book. So this says right here that this chapter uses customizing 21 QBW. Okay, see page 10 for more details on how to open up the portable file for more information. And here, they also give you the password, okay? This is very important because when you open up the portable file, you're going to be stopped at and asked to enter in the password. On every single page that you have in this book will tell you what file you're opening and it will give you the password. In this case, the password is universal for every single file. It's going to be Questiva21. And yes, it is very case sensitive. So you have to capitalize that Q. Make sure you don't misspell it and it's 21. Okay? So that's very, very important that you do know that. So here, that's how I'm going to begin my lesson is I recognize what file I'm going to be using. Here's my password. And this is how you open it up. So again, you need to open up QuickBooks in order for you to be able to access that file. So we're not creating a company file. We're opening or restoring an existing company file. Okay? So we're going to click on that middle button. Now, here are the three options that we need to select from. Am I opening a working data file? Am I opening a backup? Or am I opening a portable file? In this case, I need to be opening a portable file because that's what all of those files were downloaded as. They were all portable files. So what I'm doing here is I'm restoring a portable file, okay? And I go ahead and click this next button. So what I'm going to be doing is I need to locate where that file is. So in this case, I have it in a particular path. So this is where it's going to be different for you guys. So whatever it is that you're doing, you cannot access it through the downloads folder. I will tell you that. If you have it in your downloads folder, you need to move it and make a copy somewhere else because QuickBooks does not recognize the downloads folder. Okay? QuickBooks will recognize every other folder, every other place, but not the downloads folder. So that's very key and important that you need to know. So if you did download those student portable files, you need to make a copy of it and put it somewhere else. Okay? So in this case, my pathway is it's going to be in my documents. Under my documents, it's going to be under the school, which is under accounting, which is also under the QuickBooks class here. So I have a lot of folders that I'm reaching. So right now, we're currently on the QuickBooks class. I need to get to my student portable files, which is exactly where I downloaded those student files. So here you go. I have the final folder. If I open it, there I should be able to see every single portable file for QuickBooks. And this is how I'm able to open and access it. So I am looking for customizing. Here you go, customizing 21. I'm going to double click on it. So now that I'm going to open that portable file, the next step is I need to now locate a folder for me to open the file and save it onto wherever you want to do, whether it's a local disk drive or you could also save it to your portable flash drive. So what I'm doing here, so if you remember chapter 1, I'm opening a portable file, and when I'm opening it, I'm creating a new working data file. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to go to next, and now I need to find a location for me to save it on. Now, the easiest way that you could do this is that you could go to your desktop and just leave it there, put it in a folder. But when you do go ahead and save it or click next to find the location, the first thing it's going to pop up is it's going to pop up to save it in the local C drive. If you have no administrative rights on your computer, you are unable to be able to save it there. You must place it in a different location. Okay, so right now I'm in this local C drive. That's the automatic default setting to where QuickBooks is going to save that file. You cannot save it unless you have admin rights. All right, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and locate that same folder, right? That same Documents LVPTA Accounting QuickBooks class under the Student Portable Files. Right here, I have a class titled for you guys, PM QuickBooks for May 2nd, and this is the folder I'm going to save this working data file on, okay? And I click Save. So once I do that, you're going to get this little bar here, and this is where it's going to be opening the contents and creating that working data file for you, right? Depending on how quick your operating system is and how fast your internet is will determine how quickly this will load. Okay, so for me, I have the perfect requirements for my computer to be able to run and open this very quickly. Okay, so once I get to this 100%, right, we are gonna watch the file open. Okay, so now it says, okay, wait, it stopped me because I now need to put my password in. What was my password? It was that Questiva 21, which was found on that page. Right here, you need to enter in Questiva 21. So that's capital Q, U, ESTIVA 21. Okay, and you're going to click OK. Once you've done that, it's going to ask you, do you want to update this file? Sometimes you'll see this, sometimes you won't. If you do, just go ahead and click yes. Okay, because what it's doing is, because we are fast forward in 2022 now, right? This file was made exactly 1 year ago, December 2020, to move on for the next year. So in this case, we need to update the file because there could have been changes along the way. So that's what we're doing here. We're patiently waiting. Usually you'll see that bar to let you know that it is updating. But most cases, you can just wait patiently, and when your file starts to open up, you'll notice it because you'll see all of your screen start appearing with like the home page, right? Then next will be the icon bar, then the menu bar, right? And then you're also going to get another screen that could have like your spotlights. Maybe they're trying to sell you QuickBooks. Like right here, they're telling me, hey, we got a special deal on QuickBooks. Act now and you can save some money here for the 22 version, or you want to or upgrade to it. And I say it's okay. So I can close that out because that's advertisement. So I can close that out. So here you go. I get the home page, all right, and so on and so forth. And this is how I know my file is open and active. And if you remember from chapter 1, you do not need to physically save this full file. And I'm going to show you every time you enter, you press enter, it will automatically save it by giving you that beep of approval. Okay, so again, you don't need to save it. It's automatically saved. So let's go ahead and visit that folder one more time. So the folder that I'm currently working on is right now on the PM QuickBooks 5.2. Here it is. I have my file, my folder for that customizing 21. So there it is. Okay. It's saved into that file. All right. So now let's go ahead and go through the rest of the book. I'm going to read through it and I'm going to do the exercises in the book and teach you it that way. All right. So let's begin. So we're talking about customizing QuickBooks. So here are the topics that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be customizing the preferences. We're going to be customizing the home page, the menu bar, and the icon bar, and looking at what other further customizations you can do in QuickBooks. So first thing we're going to talk about is the difference between the preferences. There are two preferences, one for user preferences and one for company preferences. The user preferences is specifically geared towards the person who is currently accessing the file on that particular computer. So for instance, like if I'm the admin of the computer and I just entered in my credentials, right? The password was Questava21, so that means I'm on the admin's desktop user. Okay? Now again, if you remember in chapter 12, I talked about how to set up and create multiple different users. Those users, so if I'm the human resources or if I'm in charge of sales, those are going to be considered different users, and those people who are accessing those will have different settings. Okay, so these preferences are made for the person who's currently using the file on their desktop. Okay, then we have company preferences. Company preferences is where you're making a change that changes and it's universal throughout whoever is using the file. So in this case, if I make a change to it and it's a company preference, that means anybody who accesses this file will also see that change as well. Okay, so that's the huge difference between a user preferences. So user preferences are more for when we want to make it feel for ourselves, to make ourselves feel comfortable, making it easier for us to enter in our transactions, versus a one that is made for everybody, as in everybody gets that same change. Okay, all right. So one of them is applied on the desktop, the other one is applied on the actual file itself. So those are the two preferences. Now, user preferences on our end, when we're logged in, it's considered my preference. Okay, so make sure you understand that terminology, that it's going to become my preference because I'm the current user that's opening this file. Okay, so those are the two different preferences that you can set up, user and company. Okay, so the first one that we're going to take a look at is looking at the user preferences and what preferences that you can to utilize in order for you to customize the QuickBooks the way that you want it to appear. Now, in my personal opinion, these extra customizations, they're not the greatest. Okay, and let's elaborate. Okay, let me show you why I think it's not the greatest thing that you can do, because it doesn't really make a huge difference. Okay, in regards to, appearance wise. So first thing I'm going to take a look at is going to be the desktop view, like how I get to see it on my screen. So how do I get to those preferences? First off, you're going to need to go to your edit preferences, okay? So you're going to go up to the menu, right? You have the edit menu bar, okay? You're going to click on that and you're going to have the options to have preferences, which should be the last thing on that list. So again, you're going to go to your edit menu and you're going to see this preferences and you're going to click on it, okay? So here, on this preferences window, what you're going to be seeing is that there's going to be multiple things, multiple topics that you can choose to edit. So in this case, we're going to be talking about this quite frequently in every single chapter, because every single chapter is going to go over one of these topics. So whether it's an accounting preference, or whether it is a payroll preference, or a sales preference, or even a tax preference, right? So again, it's going to be every chapter is going to depend on what kind of preferences do you need to make changes, whether it is for your changes or for the company. Now, most of these are going to be more geared towards the company preferences, but each and every single one. So if you actually click through all of them and you select my preferences, so right now it's default on my preferences. There's nothing I can change on accounting. There's nothing I can change on the next one. The next one, nothing. Oh, but I can make changes here. So again, it really depends on that. Okay, so in this case, I want to go ahead and look at desktop view. So that I've already selected desktop view. And here you need to switch between the tabs. So right now I'm viewing the with the my preferences, which is user preferences for the desktop view. And then if I select company, right, this is what the company's file that you can change, that can make changes to the entire file itself. So anybody who accesses it has the same change as well. But in this case, I want to focus more on what on my desktop, how I can view my windows and or how I want to set up my preferences to see how QuickBooks looks to me on my profile. Okay? So here there are a few options you can do, so not too many preferences. Okay? First one is going to be talking about looking at whether you want to view at a screen at one screen at a time or multi-window, okay? Depending on how you like to work on your computer, on your own screen in your own time, this is where it's going to be varied. If you are a one-track kind of person where you want to do one thing out of a time, then one window viewing is preferable for you. But if you're a multitasker and you're able to view multiple contents at the same time, then multi-window view should be best bet for you. Now let me show you the difference between the two. So as you can see when I'm clicking them, it's just changing the screen behind. Now I'm going to say I want to look at one window at a time. Okay, and I click OK. So right now I'm currently viewing my home page. What if I want to enter in a bill? Okay, so there I popped in, enter in a bill. Now what I can do is that's the only thing I can see. That's the only thing I can view right now. So if I want to open up, let's say I want to open up, my vendor center. Okay, I can only view my vendor center and that's it. I can't go back to my bill. Okay, I can't go back to my bill. I would literally either have to close the window to be able to see the bill again. Or if you're on one window viewing mode, you can go down to your icon bar and you can select this where it says open windows, and you'd be able to toggle between there as well. But in this case, I do think that this is very less productive just because, if you're trying to enter information, maybe you're trying to use the vendor center to see who you're making a bill out to or who you received a bill from, and then coming back here and then having to fill it out, it may be, a little less productive because you're going to have to flip back and forth between those pages. All right? So that is viewing one window at a time. You might not be able to view everything at the same time, but you have to be able to toggle between those. So again, how do I view those windows again? You go to open windows and it will give you a list of all the windows that you have and you can toggle between them. Now, the other one that I was talking about earlier, which is the multi-window viewing mode. So if I go back to my edit preferences and let's change it to multi-windows, okay? I can have the home page, I can have a bill, okay? And I can even have the vendor center if I need to, okay? And I can shrink my screen so then I can have them laid out on my screen accordingly. So here, I can view what I need to view for my vendors, okay? And then, of course, I can use, my mouse to change the formatting of the screen. So here, maybe I'm looking at, City of Walnut Creek, okay? I'd be able to enter in the bill simultaneously. So that is the multi-window mode. You can still use the open windows, so then you can kind of, if you have too many screens at one time, then and you can't find it. It's all cluttered. Then you can use the open windows to find the window that you're looking for. But in this case, that's what I can do. I can view multiple screens at one time. And usually this is the best, way to enter in things, especially because, again, a lot of us, when we're doing certain things, you have to constantly keep checking back and forth just to make sure that this is the correct person that you are writing a bill to, or that you're receiving a bill from. Okay, so that is the multi-window mode. It is usually more productive, but if you prefer to view only one window at one time, then that's your personal preference. Okay, so let's go ahead and visit more what other preferences that I have. Other preferences is going to be, so when you actually are logged into your user profile, right? You have a few options for saving your work on your screen, okay? So then the next time you are using QuickBooks, it will automatically pull that information up for you. All right, so make you save some extra time instead of having to remember what you did that very last minute of the day, and then having to remember, did you even enter in that bill? What did you do? Etc., right? So this helps us to be able to remember, oh, I left off on this transaction, okay? And that option is to save the window for the company, okay, when closing the company, but also to save the screen that you're on. So save the current desktop, okay? That means, let's say I'm working on a bill, right? If I close my window and I open it back, open QuickBooks once again, it's going to appear that bill that I left off on. Okay, that's saving the current desktop. Now, if you select that you're just only saving saving when closing the company file, is when you close your file, right? It automatically saves. Okay. Now, in this case, it automatically saves after you enter every single transaction. So there really isn't a purpose to do that. But if you're in the middle of a transaction, it will save that. Remember, because it only saves when you enter in and are completely done with that transaction. If you're in the middle of one, it will not save. Okay, so that's why that's the option here. Do you want to save the current screen that you're on, or do you just want to just save the entire company file whenever you're done and you close the program? So that's the two options here. Okay, or you could say don't save the desktop. Now, what are the reasons why you would choose between these three options? Well, first off, if you have your own office and you're the sole user of that computer, meaning you're the only one that have access to the computer, it's your password, whatever it is, right? Then you have the capabilities to save either the desktop, or you could save the company file for whenever you're done and close QuickBooks. But let's say you're in a shared office, right? You have multiple people that use your computer, or let's say your company runs for 24 hours, right? You're done with your shift, so that means the next shift someone else is going to come in and use the computer. For any instances that's what you want to, or that's how the company is, then you shouldn't save the desktop that you're working on, because that's going to mean that when the person logs into QuickBooks, that means when they log onto the desktop, they're going to see all the things that you were currently working on. And they themselves, if they're not in the same position as you, that means they got to close all the windows. They have to close everything out for you and open up whatever they have to do. So that means they're going to be disrupted with their time because they have to close off all your work. And then the next time you go into work, what happens? Everything's closed out for you and you wouldn't know where you left off, or so on and so forth. So for that instance, right, especially when you have sharing a computer with somebody else, you definitely don't want to save the desktop that you're currently working on, okay? But if you are the sole user of the computer, then you should use one of these options, okay? Other things that is already automatically saved or automatically default settings is that every time you open up QuickBooks, you have the home page. Okay, so again, show home page when opening QuickBooks. So that's exactly what we did when we opened up our portable file. What was the first thing that popped up? The home page. So yes, that is a setting. If that's something you don't want to see all the time, you can uncheck that so then every time you open the file, you don't see the home page. Okay? The next one says here, switch to colored icons, light background on at the top of the window icon bar. In this case, I'm going to skip this for now because I'm going to show you this section when we dive into customizing the icon bar, okay? Because that's one of the cool features that you can do for the icon bar, which is switch from where it's standing. So it doesn't always have to be left aligned. So if you look at the left here, that's your icon bar. It doesn't always have to be on the left. It could be at the top of the screen. Okay, and I'll show you what this feature does when we dive into that section later. Okay, then the next section right here is going to be Windows settings, so display and sounds. This is for your actual computer. Okay, if you click on display, it's going to actually pull up your computer settings that you have on your actual computer, not the program itself, because these are settings that you can go through QuickBooks to go through your actual computer to set up. So for example, right now I have my screen on at, I think at 125% or 150%, just so then I can show you guys on your end, because again, if it was super microscopic, it'd be very, very disappointing for anybody that's taking this online because they're not going to be able to see the screen at all. So in this case, I put my display settings so then it's magnified, okay? Sounds, again, I allow sounds to appear. So then you guys heard me talk about a beep of approval. You will hear it too, okay? So again, these are customizations on your actual computer, not the program, okay? And then the last one here is going to be your company file color scheme, okay? So in this case right now, this is the original QuickBooks default settings. As you can see, right now it's default. What does it mean by changing the color scheme? So this is important, especially when, you have a company, right? Every company is going to have designated company colors to be able to recognize, right? A lot of companies out there, they use the same standard red, white, and blue, right? A lot of the companies that you see here, like for example, Chase, right? They're white and blue. Bank of America is red and blue and white. Okay, so that's the same idea here, right? If those are the companies that represent that company, then you can also customize your QuickBooks to represent the company even further. However, if you don't prefer that, let's say I don't like red, and I really don't like red. I prefer something else, like something fun like pink, purple, green. You can further customize it. Now, this is where I've mentioned before. It's not the greatest thing in the world, because I'm going to show you right now. Let's change it. Let's pick pink because I said I liked pink. Okay? If I do that, this is all it changes. It only changes the title bar. It used to be blue, now it's pink. But everything else that's on here, all these little topics here, you still got the green background right here. You still got your icon bar being blue. So what does this customizing scheme color do? It just only simply changes the top of the menu, the title bar, and that's it. Okay? It would be cool if they did like a gradient scale where the whole thing is changed to pink, so that, like, for example, you see this green highlight. It would be cool if it's a nice shade of pink. It'd be cool if the icon bar would be also a nice shade of pink, but it's not. And that's why I'm telling you, this color scheme, it's almost it's dumb. It doesn't benefit at all for any person who's using QuickBooks. All right. So in this case, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say I like the purple blue. Okay, why not? Okay. And you can save those changes by clicking OK. So that's all I saved was I changed my title to represent, to have colors of purple blue. Okay. And that's it for just that section for display. So again, customizing QuickBooks for the desktop version for the person who's using it, there's not that many options. Okay? All right. Any questions?
Not yet.
All right. So,
yeah, I just wanted to say that I got the number. I got the number. They send it to me like a day later. They send me the number for the software.
okay, that could be a conversation that could be saved after class. All right. So let's go ahead and look at company preferences for that display view. Okay, so I've already looked at user preferences, so let's go ahead and take a look at company preferences. Company preferences, here is what you can do. You can basically only change the viewing of your home page. Wow. So in this case, right, this one says, what do I want to show on the icon that's featured on the home page? Well, do I want to have statements? So right now, let's see. Right now, it's selected, right? Let's take a look at my home page. My home page, it's talking about this section here, right? Showing statements, showing my statement charges, right? It's showing, and then also having, receive payments, or in this case, sales receipts, right? This is what it's talking about. These icons here, okay? And it says, well, what if I don't want the sales receipt to appear, or the statements and statement charges? Those are the only two options you have. So let's go ahead and click OK. If I click OK, it's gonna just basically tell you got to close your windows for you to be able to save those changes. So now that I saved that and I click on the home page once again, here, I don't have my sales receipt or my statements. That's all you can do for company preferences. So again, you don't have that many options. So in this case, is customizing QuickBooks the greatest thing? No, it's not. But in that case, this is customizing the home page. Well, since we're on the topic of customize the home page, yes, you can customize the home page. You can do so by doing the Easy Step interview. Okay? If you remember from yesterday's lesson, I showed you that when you go through the Easy Step interview, you're answering questions yes or no, right? Do you charge sales tax? Yes. So that is why you have the sales tax manager appear right here. Okay? Do you sell a product? Yes, you do. So that's why you have purchases right here. Okay? Do you want to keep track of your bills? Yes. So that's why I have my enter bills here. Do you keep track of inventory? Yes, this whole section up here is your inventory, right? Receiving items against inventory. Okay? Now, if I want to further, let's say I want to customize my home page, you can by going through the Easy Step interview and making those changes. But here's one thing that you can't do. You can't go back to that interview. Okay? They don't allow you to. How do I make those changes then? That's where the edit preferences is going to be. So the entire time when you were answering all those questions, what you were doing was you were essentially setting up the preferences for your company file. So for instance, so right now, my inventory is on, right? I have this whole section right here. Okay, I got the purchases, receive items against inventory, and then enter bills against inventory. If I didn't want that section to show up anymore, I can go to inventory and items on my edit preferences, right? I go to company. It says, yes, I do keep track of it. If I unselect that and I click OK, right? Watch this when I open up my home page. That whole section doesn't appear. So can you customize the home page? Yes, you can. And you're going to be doing that using through the edit preferences under company preferences. Okay? So again, this is how you can customize the home page is through the Easy Step interview or through the edit menu bar preferences under company preferences. Okay, so I'm going to turn that back on. Okay? And I'm also going to go back to that display view to also turn on those statements and the sales receipt. Okay, so here we go, statements and sales receipts. So I click OK. So that means that if I go onto my home page now, wrong one. If I go to my home page now, I have my inventory up here at the top, and I have my statements right here up here and my sales receipt. Okay, so that's customizing the home page. Okay, it's through the interview / edit preferences. So, any questions there? No questions, says? No questions? No. All right. So that means next section here is going to be customizing QuickBooks menus and windows. Okay. First thing we're going to take a look at is customizing your actual menu, or your menu bar. Now, for this sake of this class, okay, and this program, you absolutely cannot change your menu bar. Why? Think about it. Think about any program that you know that you've used, right? Can you customize what each list have? Right? If I go to company, can I make changes to this list? Right? If I go to employees, can I change anything on this list? No. If you do, then you're going to basically break the program, okay? Because what the menu does is it's a list of everything you can do in QuickBooks. If you customize it and get rid of all of these components, you're basically essentially breaking the program down and saying, I don't need this, I don't need that, I don't need this. And that's not the purpose of this program. This program is supposed to be for you to maximize the capabilities of using every single feature on here. So in this case, if you can't find a transaction, that's where the favorite menu is going to come into play. The favorites menu is for when, number one, you're going to create a custom list for yourself that's going to list out transactions where it is a little harder and difficult to search, or it's something that you always use. Okay, so that's what this is for. So in this case, right, taking a look at all of these menus here, this is a list of every single transaction that you can do in QuickBooks. Okay, so how can I create a favorites menu to eliminate having to go through every single list? That's the purpose of a favorites menu, is to shorten up, make a shortcuts for those transactions. Well, in this case, I would have to use the favorites menu. So right here, so between the lists and the company, you have a favorites menu. If you click on favorites menu, it's going to say you want to customize it. So in this case, that's what it's asking you, is to customize the favorites list. Now, if you do not see this, you would have to go to your view menu bar. And right now, you need to check mark that you do want to see the favorites menu. And if you say you don't ever want to use the favorites menu, you can just get rid of it by clicking that button there. So again, as you can see, my favorites menu disappeared because if I click view, I don't have it check marked. So let's say I do want to see my favorites menu. I'm going to go ahead and click this, and there, now it appears. Okay. And this is the way that you can customize it, is you have to actually go to the favorites menu and click on customize favorites menu. There is no other way to do it. Okay. So if I go ahead and click on that, all right, so I am building a list for myself to make it that much more easier instead of having to go through every single list to find a particular transaction. Okay, so in this instance, so now I'm going to go ahead and create my list. Now, if you go ahead and take a look at your list here, it's basically going to categorize it based on the list that you have to make it that much more easier to find. Okay, it's going to start off with the company, of course. It's going to look so here under company, you have all of these, right? These are what's there. Okay, so under company, you have the home page, you have company Snapchat, you have the calendar. Oh, a calendar sounds nice. So I'm going to go ahead, when I click on that, because I want to be able to see it quicker, I can go ahead and add that to my list. Okay, so there you go. I added it to my list. What else do I want to be able to do quickly? Maybe I can, let's see. So the next one is, so this is still on company, right? Each menu is going to, maybe I should have a to-do list, okay? I should put reminders on there as well, okay? Next one, I should also have my chart of accounts as well, right? To make it that much more easier to do. Let's see. I can go to, let's see. Okay, so vendors. Is there something that I would do on the vendors that I want to be able to do on my favorites menu? Not really. Okay, so let's see. I want to go to, banking. Do I want to be able to write a check right then and there? Okay, or do I want to be able to see my register? In this case, no, I don't want to put that on there. Okay, nothing for reports. I want to do one more, and I want to do is on the help menu. Okay, let's see. Help menu. Here you go. Help menu. What do I want to have on the help menu is probably going to be okay, I don't see it on there. I was going to look for ask the accountant. But that's okay. That's fine. We don't have to add that. That's just something if you want to have that on there, because that would be something that's good on there, is to have like a little help button that you can go ahead and use. So I don't see it, but that's okay. So this is good enough, right? My list is good enough. And what I can do is I can also rearrange it the way that I want it to display, saying, well, what do I want to see first on my list? So I can select, let's say I want the chart of accounts to be the first thing that I see. Okay, so what I could do is I can select the item. So I'm on the right side now. I select my chart of accounts. I want to move it up. I want that to be the first thing that I see on my list. Next will be the calendar. Okay, next should be my reminders, and then to-do list. These look good enough. Okay, once I establish how much I want on my favorites list, I'm going to click OK. So that means the next time I go ahead and view my favorites list, they have it in the exact order, and that's how I want to build my favorites menu, saying I want to see the chart of accounts first, then the calendar, reminders, and then my to-do list. Okay? Now, building a favorites menu, okay? It only saves you, what, 10 seconds? Because again, a lot of these items that I selected already exist in another menu, okay? If I want to go visit my chart of accounts, how hard is it to just move back one to list and click on chart of accounts, which is the very first thing you see on there? Okay, same thing by going to company, right? You also have the chart of accounts on your company as well. Okay, chart of accounts, right? You have it listed in multiple places. So, what is the purpose of having a favorites menu if it just takes you like 5 seconds to go over to one other menu and be able to find the chart of accounts there, right? But this is more for things that are hidden. So, for example, if I go to company, right, and let's say I want to go to set up users and passwords, and under that, then you have multiple steps to get there, right? It takes time to get there. All of a sudden, maybe 10 seconds, okay? And that's what the favorites menu could do, is to eliminate having you to have to scroll down through each list to locate the transaction. It's right there. But like I said, but what's the purpose of having a chart of accounts when you can simply just move your mouse over one? See? So as far as the favorites menu, is it useful? It's only useful to you if you need it, but if it's that much difficult to spend 10 more seconds to locate that transaction on your other menus, then I say it's useless. Okay? So that's how you can customize the menu bar, okay? There's nothing you can change on the menu bar. The only thing that you can create or customize is the favorites menu, okay? So make sure you do know that. You cannot make any changes to the menu bar. You can only make a change to the favorites menu. You can add a list, okay? You can't take away anything from all the other existing menus, okay? So that's, again, is that considered something that's useful? Once again, it really depends on who's using it, but I don't think that's very useful. Okay. All right, any questions there?
Nope.
All right. Let's talk about the icon bar. Okay, so the icon bar, like we mentioned before, is this blue thing that's on the left side. Okay, your icon bar is a means for you to take shortcuts to your centers, registers, and so on and so forth. Okay, it is not a place for you to enter your transactions. Okay, you cannot link an enter bills function in the icon bar. Okay, you can go to a bill tracker, which will take you to a center for you to be able to enter a bill that way, but you cannot put the actual function of entering a bill. You can't put transactions on your icon bar. Okay, so let's take a look at the icon bars. So you got the home page here. You got your My Company over here. You have income tracker, bill tracker. So again, income tracker, right, allows you to keep track of your invoices, right, your income. Bill tracker basically lets you keep track of your bills. Okay, you have a calendar here, so you could see what are things that are due or whatever things that you want to set up. Okay, so that's a shortcut to that, and so on and so forth, right? You got your bank feeds, you have your report center on here, and so on and so forth. So all of these are just going to be shortcuts to other things that you can go ahead and put your transactions in. Okay, you don't directly put your transactions in your icon bar. Okay, now let's talk about the icon bar. How do I view my icon bar? Well, you can do that by clicking view. Okay, if you click on view, you have a couple options. You have 3 options. You can either view it at the top of the window, left align, or you can have it not display at all. So if you don't ever use your icon bar, you can choose to hide it, so it's completely gone. So now look at this. I maximize my window space, which is actually going to be a good sign because, again, the icon bar takes you to centers and other windows, right? Those windows can also be accessed on the menu bar. Remember, the menu bar has everything that you need. Okay, the icon bar is just another shortcut. So in case you're too lazy to go to vendors and hit that vendor center, you could scroll down on your icon bar and click the vendor center that way too. Okay. So let's talk about that view again. So let's say I do want to have it appear. So I want it left aligned. Okay. The icon bar, right? We'll talk about this in chapter 5 on how you can search your transactions. This is a search bar. Okay, it will search everything that you want to see in QuickBooks. So it's similar to a Google search. If you want to look up an invoice, type in invoice. Okay, if you're looking at a particular person's profile, type in that person's profile. Okay, and I'll also show you other means so you don't necessarily have to do that. Okay. So that's the search menu there. And then you see this little carrot looking thing that's arrow pointing to the left. If you click on this, this is to collapse this section. Now, what does it mean to collapse? If I click on it, boom. It gives you more space, but it doesn't get rid of the icon bar. It's still there, right? Because you can also expand it. Okay, so this is another means. So in case you do use your icon bar, but you want to maximize your window space, you can collapse it as well. Okay, now here's 2 options that you can do. I want to customize it because what if I don't need this, or what if I need to add something to this? You can either right click anywhere on there and you'll be able to customize it, or you can actually click on the view menu and be able to click on customize icon bar. Okay, whichever one that you want to do. So I'm already on the menu bar, so the view menu. So I clicked on customize icon bar and you're going to get this window here. Okay. The list on the left is going to give you what your current icon bar looks like. Okay. This is what your current icon bar looks like. If you want to add something, you can either click on add. If you need to edit something, you can edit whatever is on here, or you can completely remove it off completely. Okay, so in this case, the book tells you to add a calculator. So when I click on add, it's going to give you another pop-up window of things that you can add to your icon bar. Now this list, it's in alphabetical order. Okay, so it makes you easier to find things. So things that you can have on here, it's limited. You don't have everything that you could possibly do, but you could have, options here. Again, they're shortcuts. You can even print out pay stubs if you want to have that icon. You can even have a view calendar icon. You can even have a Windows icon, snapshots, right? In this case, I want to just go ahead and put in a nice, simple calculator. Okay? Calculator, right? Every accountant needs a calculator to be able to do your work. So when you click on this, right, this middle section here is going to say, what kind of icon do you want it to appear? I can have this kind of icon, but you know what? I kind of like this, this one makes it straightforward. You know exactly what a calculator is, and it kind of looks like a calculator. So I like this icon better than this icon or that icon, okay? I like this one the best. Okay. So yes, you can look at your options on what those icons can look like. Okay. But in this case, I just want that simple one that had the picture of the calculator. And now I can't find it. Okay, well, I can't find the icon now. But calculator, let me see if I click on it. Okay, I think it was that one. Okay, so there's that one. So now that I chose my icon, Now it's going to ask you, how do you want it to display? So what does it mean by display? So if I roll my mouse over here, I want it to show, what is it going to display on my icon bar? And if I roll my mouse on it, what should I have it description? So in this case, do I want it to say calc? I can make it say calc in this case. I don't like that. I want it to actually say calculator. Okay, and then the description is straightforward. It's a calculator. Okay, so now that I have that, right, let's go ahead and click OK. So now I added a calculator. When I add things to the icon bar, it's always going to be the very last thing. So it's always going to add it at the very bottom of the list. So let's say I want to have that calculator be displayed as one of the things that is one of the top things. So I think I want to put this under, let's put it right under home. Okay. So how do I do that? So if you remember from yesterday's lesson, this little black dot, if you actually look at it very carefully, okay, if you actually look at it very carefully, so I'm going to zoom in real quick, that is an actual diamond. You see that? If I put my mouse over it, my mouse becomes a cross with arrows on it. That means I can click, hold, and drag that that calculator and place it wherever I want to place it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll my mouse over it till it says, there you go. There's my arrows. I can click, hold, and I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to put it right underneath home. Okay, now it will also display on your screen as you're doing this, so you can kind of, if you have it side by side, you can actually see how it looks. Okay, and I could say, well, my company, I don't need that. I can delete that. Okay, so now it doesn't appear anymore. Okay, an income tracker is useful, a bill tracker is useful. So that's how I can customize my icon bar. So once I'm done, I can go all the way to the bottom and click OK. So now I have the home page. I have a calculator. So again, it says calculator. Okay, if I click on it, it will give you a calculator. Okay. So that is that feature on the icon bar. Okay. Now, if you remember from what I was talking about earlier for one of those preferences, for user preferences, if I want this and I select that I want to switch to color icon light background and I click OK. If I go ahead and let's say I want to view it at the top of my screen, if I go ahead and do that and click top of the screen, boom. Now it's nice in a nice white background. It's got color icons, and this is probably the most interesting feature I know about customizing QuickBooks, okay? Because look how nice that looks, right? Very fun, very colorful. However, if I go back to having that left align, it just goes back to that standard boring blue color with the light icons, right? It doesn't take those light colored icons and transfer it back over here, right? Which, you know, why not have the feature capable to do that? So that is a downside there, is that unfortunately you can only have it when it's above there. But let's say if I decide to take that off and say I don't want the colors on there, okay? Then let's see what happens when I switch it to the top, okay? It's going to be the same boring blue color with the light icon. So at the end of the day, again, your options are limited, right? You don't get to keep those colors if you bring it back down to the left align, which is, again, not the, it would be cool if you had that option to be able to have the colored icons appear anywhere, right? If you could have that extra customization to have it, be able to do it at the top, on the left align, and so on and so forth, okay? So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to bring it back to my left align. Okay? So that's customizing your icon bar, okay? You can even customize reports and have it attached to the icon bar. So again, that's also another cool feature on QuickBooks that you can do. So for example, right, what is a report? A report is a meaningful way to take the information that you put into QuickBooks. So again, QuickBooks, we're entering in data, right? We're entering our vendors, we're entering our customers' information, our employees, right? If I want to create a report, such as maybe create a contact list, right? I'm able to create it and I can also attach that onto my icon bar so I can have it available at all times. So how do I do that? Well, first I need to view the report in the first place. So we'll talk about reports more in depth in chapter 5, which is next week. Actually, in 2 weeks from now. So in this case, reports, I want to have a customer contact list, okay? So if I go to here and go to list, and I want to have customer phone list, customer contact list. Let's do customer contact list because here I can see this. I get their name, their address, their phone number, but I also get their account balance information as well. So right here, this is all the customers that are currently in this company, and these are the amounts that they owe me. I'd like to keep this image and have it available with the click of a button. So once I pull up my report, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? I can choose to customize it. Maybe I don't need their addresses. I just need their account number and their account number, their name, and their account balance, right? I just need that much information. So we'll talk about customizing reports in chapter 6. If I want this to show up on my icon bar, all I gotta do is go click view menu, and I'm going to add this customer contact list to my icon bar. So let's go ahead and add it on there, okay? Then you're gonna get the same exact add window once again. How do you want it to display? Maybe I want it to display using this picture here, or maybe this picture is even better, okay? What do I want it to say? Maybe I don't want the customer contact list. I'd rather have this say customer balance info. Okay? And then, of course, what is going to be here? Customer contact list with balance. Okay? And I can click OK. All right? Again, it's going to appear at the bottom of your window. So again, if you want to further customize it, and let's say I want that to be at the top of the window, the top of the icon bar, you could just click and drag and click on that customization, click and drag. But there it is. So that means next time I'm running reports or billing my customers, maybe I could go ahead and send them a message saying, hey, your statement is overdue or something like that, right? I'd be able to go to my icon bar and click on that customer balance info, and it will pull up that report exactly the way you want to see it. So that's a cool feature on customizing the icon bar. All right. Any questions here?
So good.
Okay. So no questions there. Okay. All right. Let's see what is next. Okay. All right. Now that we went over customize the icon bar, so there's 3 things that you can do, right? You can customize the home page. You can only customize the favorites menu, okay? Not the whole menu bar. And you can customize the icon bar. All right, so let's see what else we can do for further customization. So we're going to talk about QuickBooks lists, okay? QuickBooks list. What are these? Okay. QuickBooks has a bunch of lists that you can enter in information to make it that much more easier for you to be able to, whether it's pulling up information or whether you're selling something, right? You can automatically have things already set in place. So all you have to do is you just click on the options that you want to choose as far as that. So what are these lists? So let's take a look here on our QuickBooks list. Okay, so if you go to the list menu bar, okay, so you go to your list menu, right? These are things that you can further customize in regards to QuickBooks. So yesterday we took a look at how to customize the chart of accounts. Okay, so what are the accounts that you need in order for you to organize your thoughts and ideas? Okay. Second thing you could do too is items list. So items list, we briefly talked about this in chapter 1. These are things that you list out in regards to whether you sell a product or service, right? What are the items that you sell? What are your sales taxes that you're going to be charging? What are the discount rates? Okay? All of those are going to be considered part of the sales process, which is going to be under the items list. We do not talk about items list until chapter 8. Okay? Chapter 8 is where we get to explore how to customize our items list. Okay? Second thing is going to be fixed assets. Okay? What's a fixed asset list? So when you buy your fixed assets, you want to keep track of them. This is where you put them all on. We won't visit this until chapter 14, okay, where we look at depreciation and how fixed assets work, okay? The next one, you have price levels list. So price levels list, what is that? So when you have a certain particular group of customers, you can charge them at specific prices, okay? So for example, right, if you work for if you are a company and a corporation decides to use your company for services, they're a corporation. They have the money. They have the capability to be able to pay you anything, right? So you don't want to sell your services off that cheap. So you get to charge your commercial customers maybe a higher percentage because they can afford it. Where versus a residential, right? So, people that you go door to door, right? Your regular customers that come into your store, right? Hoping to get some kind of service, right? You can't be charging them a higher price. You have to, be able to sell a product to them that they're willing to pay for. So in this case, you might have to have a lower price or a set price so then they can be able to afford or pay for those services. In this chapter, there is an example. I'm just going to skip it because it may not apply to everybody, whether you have commercial customers or residential customers, right? It doesn't really apply, but if you read the book, you'd be able to know what you can do there, okay? So yes, you can mark up your prices for certain groups of individuals, okay, that you sell products to. That's what price levels do. Okay? Sales tax codes. Sales tax codes, what do they do here? We'll talk about sales tax in chapter 2, but more so less in chapter 3, where we dive real in depth about the sales process and what you have to do. What is a sales tax code? Let's go ahead and just take a brief overview of what those are. So if you take a look here, right, you got tax, you got government, you got NFP for nonprofit organizations, you have OOS for out of state, you have RSR, which is going to be resellers price, and SRV for service. So what does these even mean? A sales tax code is going to be basically a code to determine whether a product or service is taxable or not. So a great example for this is a grocery store, right? You can't charge your customers tax on particular items, right? You can't tax on grocery or food items, right? And you can't, and then you can't tax for alcohol, anything that's alcohol related, right? It's a higher tax, right? And then any other product in the store, whether it's a household good or any product that doesn't have a life or it's not food related, you charge them tax for that, a regular sales tax. So that's what these sales tax codes do, right? And especially if it's a service, usually services are non-taxable, okay? Because it's not a product. You don't get something out of it, right? It's a service. It's based on time and labor. So in that case, services are usually non-taxable, okay? So that's the idea here, is that we must separate these sales tax code. So then when we do our sales receipts, right, we must properly charge our products and services to the according appropriate means for sales tax. Okay, so that's what it is. So anybody that is government, so if you serve in the military, you get a discount, right? You get a discount on sales, or you get a discount on the product. That's one of the items right here. Non-profit organizations, you're not supposed to tax them because they're non-profit. They're not in the means to make money. So you shouldn't be. It's a business-to-business agreement that non-profit organizations, they get to be sales tax exempt because of what their type of business is. So those are what you can do too. Out of state, again, that one's really weird because out of state you have to charge some kind of tax because it's going to be based on the state that you're doing the service in, not the state. If you sell a product out of state, you're going to charge them for the state that they're purchasing from, not the state that they're buying from, okay? So if I have a business in Nevada and someone in California is trying to buy something from my business, they're going to get charged California tax, not Nevada tax, okay? So that's one of the rules here too, why you have to be very careful when charging your customers is what category do they fall upon, and that's what a sales tax code does, okay? Again, we'll look more in depth in this in chapter 3, but that's what a sales tax code does. Payroll item list. This is something that we're going to talk about in chapter 10, so nothing to worry here. Class list. Class list is something we can also talk about because that's part of chapter 4, but we'll talk about that in chapter 4. So when we come back from the break, we'll talk about that, okay? Other things that you have is other names list, customers, okay, templates, things like that, memorize transactions, and so on and so forth, okay? So those are pretty much what further things that you can do. Now, I want to do one more, which is going to be looking at the terms list, okay? That's something that I want to practice here as well because what are terms, okay? So if I go to, I think customers and vendors, I have the option to do a terms list. What is a terms list? So as you can see, when I pull it up, you have all these random numbers here. What do they represent? What do they mean? So for instance, 1%, 10, net 30, okay? That's how we read it. What does that mean? It really depends on whether you are the customer or you are the provider or the vendor, okay? Because it works both ways for customer and vendor, okay? So if you are the customer, right, that means the vendor gives you a special opportunity. So in this case, this 1%, they give you the opportunity to take advantage of a discount. But here's the catch. There's a condition. In order to get that discount, you have to pay the bill off within 10 days. If not, the whole entire bill is due in 30 days. We call that terms. Now, if you can do that if a vendor can give that to you, you as a vendor can also give that to your customers as well. Give them an incentive, because what this actually does is this encourages the individual to pay on time. Okay? And by doing good and paying before the due date, okay, you give them an incentive. So that's the essential reason for that. Now, not every company is going to be able to do that or wants to do that. Okay? So that's why we also have other ones such as Net 15, where, hey, your bill is due in 15 days. That's it. You don't get a discount. You don't get anything. It's just due in 15 days. Okay? Common ones that you would normally see out there is usually, any billing cycle, 30 days, right? It's due, the bill is due in 30 days. You also have things like, 30, 60, 90 days is usually a time frame that they usually give you, okay? So those are called terms. Now, yes, we can create terms if you want to give it to your customer, or if you receive a bill and they tell you this is something that you can enter in so then it's either incentive to you or you can give that to your customer. So how do I create a new one? Let's say on this, there's nothing that I want to give to my customers. Okay, so then what I can do here is I can go to terms at the bottom of the window. Okay, if you see this little down arrow, if you click on it, you're going to get a drop-up menu. This is going to tell you, hey, I can either add a new term, I can edit an existing term, I can delete a term, or I can make this term inactive. So if you remember from yesterday's lesson, this is the same for creating new items on every list that you create. It's all standard, right? So in this case, yesterday we did the chart of accounts. All you had to go do is account, new account, and you can make them inactive if you choose to do so. Okay? But in this case, I'm going to create a new one. So when I create a new one, you have the option to do standard, or you have the option to do date driven. We'll talk about date driven after the standard one, okay? Standard means you're going to be giving them a time frame, right? Upon receiving the bill, or upon completion of your, or whatever, when you're ready to bill somebody, upon them receiving the bill is going to be when those the terms are going to come into effect. Okay, so for instance, this example here, I want to give a 2%, 7 days. If not, it's going to be due in 30. Okay, so that's exactly what I can do, right? I want to give a 1%, 7 days, net 30. Okay. So what does that mean? That means this whole thing is due in 30 days, right? But in order for the customer to be able to get our discount, right, what is the percentage? It's going to be a 1%, okay? And what is my discount due date period? It's going to be within 7 days. So that means they have 1 whole week to pay me, and they would be able to receive that 1% discount. And I go ahead and click OK. All right, so there you go. I have my 1%, 7 net 30. Okay, so when I decide to go ahead and let's say charge my customers, right? I can charge my customers, right? And we can give them terms. So see this section right here on my invoice, terms? This is where I can designate. Do I want to give them a discount? Can I say, no, you don't get a discount. It's just due in 30 days. This is where you can toggle this option right here directly on the invoice. Okay? So this is where I can bill my customers and I can tell them, hey, I'll give you a discount, but you have to pay me within X amount of days. Okay? And that's where you can apply it right here. All right? So let's talk about what a date-driven terms is, okay? So let's go back to the list, customers and vendors, and we're going to terms list, okay? And we're going to create a new one, because what if it is date-driven? So what does that mean? So a standard one is going to be upon receiving the bill, they have X amount of days to pay. A date-driven one is where it's specific on a specific day. So let's, for example, write a credit card bill, right? What you're going to notice is every time you receive a statement, your bill due date is always the same. It's the 10th of the month. So as an example, right, my bill is going to be due on April 10. The next billing cycle is due May 10. Next billing cycle, it's going to be due June 10. That means that's called a date driven, where you have an exact date of when an item or when a bill or a statement is due. So in this case, for example, let's go ahead and take a look at a date-driven example here. So this says is 1% 5th net 10th. Okay, so in this case, I selected date-driven, so that means the top part gets canceled. So I want to create a date-driven term. So in this case, that means they're going to be able to receive 1% discount if they pay on the 5th of the month. If not, the bill is due on the 10th of the month. Okay? So we call that a date-driven. So that means it's due on the 10th. If not, and they pay on the 5th, then they receive the discount. So this is where we have to answer the question. Net due before the blank of the month. So we said it's due on the 10th of the month, the entire bill. Okay? The discount due, then it says due the next month, issued within 30 days. So obviously 30 days within the due date, right? Because that means the next due date is going to be the next 10th. Okay? Then next is going to be, what is the discount percentage? We're going to give them the opportunity to take a 1% discount. Okay? And what is the discount paid before the 5th day of the month? Okay, that's how you got to fill that in. So it's pretty straightforward to fill these things in. And you click OK. So that means, for example, rent or cable bill, right? Okay, so that means every time I pay my bill for my cable, it's due on the 10th. But if I take advantage of that, of the discount, I pay within before the 5th. Okay, so that's a date-driven term. Okay, any questions there? Okay. All right. So we have one more concept we're going to just go over really quickly, and then we'll take a break. So let's take a look here. So the next section is going to be custom fields. Okay. What do custom fields actually do for you? Okay. So custom fields is going to be a section where you can customize a particular piece of information for you that you can obtain, whether it's from a person or whether it's from extra information that you can obtain about a person or about a thing. Okay, so here when we talk about custom fields, I'm actually going to show you this particular custom field in chapter 4 when we set up our vendor. Okay, so this is going to be the next chapter. So right after the break, I'm going to show you what a custom field is, because in this case, it's very visible when you create your customer profile or create a vendor profile, whichever one it is, or even an employee profile. You're able to locate the custom fields there. Okay. Now, so I'm going to skip that section real quick, and we'll talk about the next section, which is going to be customizing your templates. Okay. So again, we'll come back to that section in the next chapter. Okay. So here we're going to be talking about customizing templates. So the huge part of a business is, well, you need to set up your company the way that you want to set it up. You're going to sell a product. You're going to bill your customers, and so on and so forth. Now, how are you going to bill your customers and make it so unique to the point where they want to keep coming back, right? Well, there's many options to do that, right? Send out marketing material, right? Which can, once again, entice your customers to want to buy from you, to know who you are, right? Create a unique company logo, right? But the best way to be able to do that is if you do actually end up getting customers, right? You want to have the option to customize templates. What are templates? Templates are going to be your sales receipt, your invoice, your purchase orders, right? Those things are statements that come from your company. And if you're sending it to a customer, that's how they identify, oh, this is from this company. Oh, this is from that company. That's how you can set yourself different from another company, right? Now, let's take a look at what these templates are. So templates, so if you go to list and you click on templates, okay, you have standard made templates. So let's take a look at an example of a standard template. So here you go. We got Imagine Photo Service Invoices. Let's take a look at this one. That looks boring. Okay? Why? All you see is just the title, invoice number, and you see a bunch of squares. There's nothing unique about this invoice. So if you see this on a standard piece of paper, right, you're not going to know who it is except for by reading it, right? But if you have a logo, a company logo, and you have it appear at the very top of the page, people are going to instantly know, oh, it's them, okay? If the person just sees this, they're going to have to be like, oh, who's this from? I know this is a true factor that not many people actually read, okay? It's surprising. They're more attracted by things that pop out on a page, right? Colors, logos, things that attract the eye is what people and customers like to see. They don't like to see a bunch of words. So that's why this is the place where you can make a customizable invoice. So when a customer does receive that invoice, boom, they automatically know who it came from. So in this case, right, there are two ways that you can do this, right? You can create a new template from square one, right, by going down to templates, just like how we did the accounts and how we did the terms, and you'd be able to click new. Now it's going to ask you, well, what do you want to create? Are you creating an invoice? Are you creating a credit memo, a sales receipt, so on and so forth, right? In this case, I'm going to create an invoice, right? And this is what's going to look like. It's going to give you like maybe a standardized one. But what actually happens is if you actually go to view the layout designer, right? It's going to give you pretty much this, and you can go ahead and customize it. You can drag. Let's say I don't want this box here. I want to move it. I want to move it to the right side. You can further customize it by using the layout designer. Okay, maybe I want my company name to occupy this whole entire spot right here, and I want it large enough so people can see it, and it's obnoxiously large. Okay, so I can set that up as well, right? It's a little difficult because the way that the screen is. There you go. I can make it really big. I can make it in really big letters. You can choose how you want it. Maybe I don't want the invoice to be here. I want the invoice to be at the bottom. Okay, I want the invoice to be at the bottom. I don't know. I don't care. However you want to make it unique is how you want to make it unique. Now, here's a few things about making and creating your own, customizing your own invoice. You might forget something. So it's very important that you use one that already exists and just customize it that way so you don't forget something, because trust me, a lot of people, they have a vision, right? They have everything that they want to put on there, but they always will end up forgetting the most important thing, which is probably how much the person owes them. Okay? And surprisingly, that's a common mistake that a lot of things happen. So if you start billing a customer and they open up their invoice and they're like, I don't see how much I owe, then then you need to fix the way that you just did that. So in this case, I'm going to click cancel. And yes. So I'm not going to do that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a customizable to my company type of service invoice. So let's say I want to create a service invoice. So here you have the Imagine Photo Service invoice, or let's see, you have the Intuit Service invoice. Okay, you have a service invoice. So what I want to do is I want to make a duplicate. I want to make a copy of it and then customize it from there. So what you can do is I already selected it. What I can do is I can go down to the bottom and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. Okay, so I'm making a copy of it, right? And it's asking me, what do you want to make a copy of? Again, it's an invoice. Okay, and you click OK. So then once you have that, now you have this copy of the Intuit Service invoice. You can double click on it to edit it, okay, and it will pop up this window like we've seen before, and this is how you can further customize it. So on the right side is your display screen. This is what you can, it's like a little preview, okay? So for example, what do I want to name my title? Well, I can go ahead and click Manage Template to change my title. I don't want it to say that. I want it to say Imagine Photo Service invoice. Okay? And I can go ahead and okay, so that's that there, and click OK. Okay, so now I changed the title of this, right? It's now the Imagine Photography. Okay, whoa. Let's do that again. I don't know why I didn't save. Okay, Imagine Photography Photo Service invoice.
There's already one on the template.
Nah. Oh yeah, you're right. There is one already. You're right. Okay. Okay, I guess we can use that one. So, okay. So I guess we could just use that one for now. Okay. So if I click on it, this is what it looks like. Very boring, very square. Okay. So that's what you can do. You can just copy it and then change it that way. Okay. So here it's already created one for me. So I'm just going to go in and use this one. Here's the first thing it's going to ask you. You can use a logo. Okay, let's use a logo. So when you click on this, it's going to ask you to look up a portrait or a picture of that logo. So again, I do have it. It's going to be in the LVPTA Accounting QuickBooks class, Student Portable Files. So that means when you download the Student Portable Files, you have the image to be able to put that logo in there. Okay? You click OK. So there you go. Little logo right there. Awesome. Okay. Other things that you can customize is going to be font colors, font sizes. Okay. So for example, I should change the font size of the title. Okay. The title of this is an invoice, right? So I can change the font and colors for that. So let's say I want the font for the invoice to be much larger than what it is now. So right now it's at 20. I want that to be, maybe I want that to be size 32, okay? Because I want the customer to know it's this invoice, okay? This is your billing number, okay? Other things that you can do too is like company name, right? I can change the font on this. Maybe the font that you're using isn't this one. Maybe I'm using, let me see. Maybe I'm using a fun font. Okay, let's say like this right here, Copperplate. Let's say I'm using Copperplate and I want the company's name to be the biggest thing that you can see on there so people can note that. Okay, so I'm going to make that size 20 and I'll click OK. So there you go. I changed it. Now it's copper plate and it's size 20. Okay, so right there, Imagine Photography right there. Okay. I can also change the name on there too. So if it doesn't say Imagine Photography, you can also change that by clicking on the company name, right? Changing the font, and then you would type in what the company name is. Okay. Other things you can change too is the fonts on the invoice itself. Okay. Other things that you could do, say, do you want to use the company name? Yes or no? Well, obviously that's going to be number one on your invoice. Okay. Other things that you can have too is company address. Yes. Do I want a fax number? No, that's not necessary. Do I want an email address? Yes, that would be good. Do I want the phone number? Of course, you want them to contact you. Okay? For any reason that they need to contact you, you definitely need to put out a phone number. Okay? A website too, if you want them to check out more information on your website. Go ahead and have the website there. Okay? Do I want to print out a past due stamp? Yes, you should, especially if a customer doesn't know what they owe. You want to make sure you have that in red or whatever, in bold, that they have an outstanding balance. Okay? So again, those are the options there. And let's go ahead. So every time I added something, look, it just added the phone number down here. It added the email address, and it added the website right here. Okay, and you got the total balance too. All right. So again, you can further customize this using the layout manager. Maybe I don't like the way it looks. Okay. Cancel. And so that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. So again, that's what you can do to customize your templates. So again, your templates only consist of invoices, sales receipts, purchase orders, credit memos, okay, and statements and estimates, okay? So we'll talk about what all of these are. So again, these are usually in regards to the sales process, and your purchases are the only exception to this, okay? Now, a few things that you can't do is you can't customize your check, okay? If you want your checkbook to be a unique check or have your company logo on the back of it, you need to go to the the financial institute to get that done. A bank can only do that. You cannot customize your own checkbook because, again, when you create your own stuff, there's a high chance that you're going to miss a piece of information. Okay? All right, so let's take the next 15 minutes to just go ahead and blast right through the questions, okay? Because that is it for chapter 7, okay? So let's go ahead and do the review questions, okay? Review questions, so the first 5 questions are going to be, a free response. So I'm going to be skipping that section because I want to go over the multiple choice. So your option here is to select the best answer. So again, there could be answers that could be possible answers, but you want to choose the best one, okay, of each of the following. So, number 1, you can create a custom field for... So you had to do your reading for this one.
C. C is in cat.
C as in cat is vendors. Yes, you can do it for vendors. Can you do it for customers?
Yes.
Yes, you can. So if you looked at that window, the very last section here, you're going to notice that this little window here is going to allow you to customize things for, that's the wrong one. You're going to be able to customize the vendors, customers, and your employees. So in this case, letter D is the correct answer. It's only A and C, okay? You cannot have customizable fields on templates, right? You just create the thing. All right. Number 2, Okay, the two types of preferences are A is correct. User and company preferences. That's correct, right? Number 3, if you don't see the favorites menu on your menu bar, you can turn it on by C is correct, right? You're going to have to go to the view menu. So I did show you that earlier in the lesson, right? You got to go to view menu to either show or you can hide your favorites menu. Okay. Number 4, which of the following is not an available template type in QuickBooks?
A, B.
All right, we got a bunch of different answers here. Okay, so let's talk about it. Can you create credit memos? Yes. What is a credit memo? It's when a customer returns something, so you're going to issue them a credit memo. Yes, that's something you definitely can customize. Okay, let's see what B says. Statements. Yes, of course. If your company is going to be collecting all the information about your customer and that customer has a list of transactions, of course you can create statements for them. Okay. C says checks. Can you create a check? I just talked about this
No.
5 minutes ago. So no, you cannot create a check. So in this case, letter C is correct because that is one of the options that is not. So the question was not an option. Okay. Yes, you could do sales receipt. We'll talk about what a sales receipt does. Okay. This is like when you go to the in-store, right? And you have your cash register. That's the same thing for a sales receipt. Is when a person pays at time of service, that's what you issue. Okay? Number 5, which of the following can be displayed vertically on the far left side of the screen or horizontally at the top of the screen?
Icon. B.
B, icon bar is correct. That's the only thing that you can do that you can actually have it on the left side or the top side, right? You can't do the home page for that. The home page you gotta click and drag and you gotta place it somewhere that you want to place it. Okay? It's usually always in the middle of your screen. And you can close it if you'd like. But you can't really assign it to be left aligned or at the top of the page. Alright? So letter B is the correct answer. Number 6, okay, you cannot, okay, customize which of the following?
E.
Let's take a look, okay? So number 1, the layout of a statement. Of course you can customize that, right? We just told you can use the layout manager to, if you don't want the title to be at the top, you can put it at the bottom of the screen. So yes, you could customize the layout of a statement. B says, can you customize the icon bar? Yes, you can. We just spent a whole 10 minutes on that, right? We can add stuff to the icon bar. We could delete stuff off the icon bar. C, can you customize the layout of the estimate forms? Yes, you can, right? Yes, you can. So in this case, the last option here is, can you customize the open windows list?
No.
No, because this one, how can you customize an open windows list? It just displays all the windows that you have open. So yeah, so in this case, that's the answer to this one. That you cannot customize would be the opens windows list. Okay. Number 7, okay, to add an icon on the icon bar, you can use
A and B.
A and B. So letter D. Okay. Yes, you can add it by clicking on the add window name to the icon bar. Okay. Letter B says you can customize the icon bar window, right, by clicking view, customize the icon bar. Letter C says by going through the user preferences for the desktop view. No. the only option you have there is to either put it at the top of the window in color or, and that's it. That's not customizing, or that's not how we can add an icon onto the icon bar. So letter C is not the answer. So in this case, D, both A and B is correct. Okay. Number 8, okay, use which of the following to manually design the layout of the invoice?
Yeah, designer. D. Isn't it?
D, yes, the layout designer. Okay. Number 9, okay. The two types of price levels are, so this one you had to do your reading.
Fixed percentage and per item.
That's correct. Fixed percentage or per item. So you can either increase your prices based on a percentage, right? So you can mark it up a certain percentage, or you can say my customers get this amount, and my commercial customers get this amount, and my residential customers can get this amount, a lower price. So yes, it's either based on a per item, or you can do it as a markup percentage. Okay. Number 10, okay, you would like to offer a discount, okay, when some customers pay their invoices early, okay? Which list would you open to start creating this discount? Terms, yes, good. Okay. Number 11, okay, the simplest way to offer a regular discount to a customer is to, so we didn't really talk about this, but okay.
If it was a regular discount, wouldn't it be just to set the default price level for the customer?
Excellent, that is correct. Yes, you would just set the default for the price level for that customer, right? If there isn't a discount or any special means to give to this particular customer, if they don't fall in the category of commercial or residential, and you just want to charge them the regular price, then you just set the default for that. Excellent. Okay. Number 12, okay? Where do you control the default settings for your home page?
B, that's the desktop view preference.
Excellent. That is correct. Okay, B, the preferences, and you would just do through the desktop view. Now, in this case, I don't know why they had to add that desktop view. Just in general, for any default settings for the home page at all, right, is just going to the preferences. So if you remember, the inventory, if you selected yes, you had inventory, then that's going to affect your home page, right? Which didn't have to deal necessarily with the desktop view. So in this case, the answer still is B. That's correct, because at the end of the day, it's still a preference. Okay. Number 13, you can rearrange the order of the columns in the templates using the blank.
B, template list.
Mm,
Oh, no, never mind.
that's fine.
C.
For 13, C is correct. Additional customization window. Yeah, so again, if you want to organize your template, okay, by rearranging them, you would do that through the layout manager by clicking on the additional customization. Good. All right, so that's a little tricky, this question. Number 14, okay, to switch between multi-open windows, okay, use the blank. So if you want to view more than one window at one time, that's what this is the multi-window? D. D is correct, either A or C. A, by going to the Windows menu, which I didn't show you, right? And then C is going to be through the opens window on the icon bar. Yes, but that one I did show you. Okay. Number 15, which is the last question, is going to be the icons on the home page. D, both B and C. So let's take a look. A says always show. Okay. Okay. B says can be hidden. Yes, they can be hidden. And then C says don't show if the feature is inactive. That is true, right? So if you remember, I inactivated inventory. What did it do? It got rid of the inventory on the home page. So in this case, both B and C is correct, which is letter D. They don't always show. You can hide them. Okay. Good job. All right, everybody. So right now, it is